poker's legendary champions, next generation stars, and tireless ambassadors of the game, sharing their wisdom and guiding your journey to high achievement on the green felt. This is Chasing Poker Greatness with your host, Brad Wilson.
Welcome, my friend, to the Chasing Poker Greatness podcast. As always, this is your host, the founder of ChasingPokerGreatness.com, Brad Wilson. And today's guest on the show is the brilliant greatness bomb dropping Ana Marquez. Anna's an online MTT soul-crushing cyborg, former number one ranked poker player in Spain, and has amassed $1.8 million in lifetime live MTT cashes. This CPG episode is especially meaningful to yours truly because it's a reminder of why I'm going to do my best to continue making these shows forever. When I started out on my own poker journey in 2004, it was because the prospect of being a professional poker player was the first time in my entire life I had been excited about a career path. It was a shot to my spirit after being asked a bazillion times growing up what I wanted to do with my life and drawing blanks because frankly, nothing ever excited me. But back in 2004, the world was not nearly as small as it is today. If being a professional poker player is an obscure profession today, try to imagine how it was 17 years ago. Stumbling across similar folks with a turbocharged passion for playing poker at a high level was something that happened every once in a while, but all in all was a pretty rare event. Because of CPG, I get to connect with similar spirits who light me up like a Wheel of Fortune slot machine on a regular basis, like Matt Berkey, Jason Su, Kristen Bicknell, Nick Howard, Mark Herm, and today's very special guest, Ana Marquez. These are my people, and man, it is a beautiful thing indeed to connect with your tribe. In today's lights out conversation with Ana, you're going to learn why she had zero doubts about her future poker success right from the jump, how losing $500 by staking a friend before she even played a hand of cards was a major catalyst in her poker journey, why she wrote her bachelor's thesis on the history of poker after the first WSOP, and much, much more. So without any further ado, I bring to you the Spanish poker supernova, Ana Marquez. Ana, welcome to the show. How are you doing this evening for you?
I'm doing great. What about you?
I'm doing very well. It's just the afternoon for me, just doing some writing and typing and answering a bunch of questions and really looking forward to recording this podcast episode with you. Typically, we start out by asking you the story of how you got involved in playing cards. So we'll start there. Where does that begin?
That begins in Washington, D.C. I went to school at American University, Washington, D.C.
Where are you from?
And I'm from Spain. I'm from Malaga.
And how old are you, too, to get the timeline straight?
I'm 34.
34. Okay, cool. So it started.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'm an OG.
Same. I'm an ORG, I guess. 30. I don't even know how old I am. The math is fuzzy. I think I'm 37. So college for you, how old were you in Washington?
Well, I went there 2004. Yeah, that's when I started school. I was 17. And then I started playing poker maybe when I was around 20. And then, I was playing in cash games around Maryland University.
How did you find poker? Like, how did you fall into the poker world, especially back then? You know, I guess it was sort of during the poker boom in the United States. But ultimately, what were you in school for? What were you, like, you obviously flew across the Atlantic Ocean to go to school in the United States. What was your aspiration then?
Well, I went to Washington because of my dad. My dad has lived there for many years. And I went to study history and economics. So he lived in Washington, D.C. So I just went to live with him. And
cool.
And that's when I found poker. It was very random how I found poker, like, because actually I've never gamble being in casinos. Like poker is not such a back then, at least, wasn't like such a big game in Spain, you know. Like, but in America, like it's different. In America, like all my friends were like playing in games, you know, and just like random home games and stuff like that. So that's how I found it. I saw my friends playing, and I was like, what is this? You guys are a bunch of degens. and then and then because I really don't like to gamble, you know. Funny enough, but yeah.
So that if you don't like to gamble, like why did poker resonate with you? Why did it take hold of you so strongly?
Well, I mean, with the time in poker, you end up becoming a little digit, though. Side note.
Yeah, it rubs off on everybody a little bit. There's really no other option.
Yeah, but no, the reason why is because I saw my friends doing it, and I was like, "What are you guys doing here? Like, why are you wasting money? Let's go party." And like, I saw this friend of mine, and he had a lot of chips. So I was like, "Okay, this guy must know something that I don't." So I sat down next to him, and I was like, "What are you doing? Like, teach me." And he was like, "Well, first of all, I was making fun of him, and then he was like, no, no, no. Like, there's actually a lot of strategy in this game." And this is something that I'm really interested in. I'm like huge on strategy. In fact, I wanted to study my master's degree in military strategy. So, so then like he was kind of like the freaky of the group, like the freak of the group who really liked the poker, like who was pretty much like catching up with the boon. And he was like, okay, like there's strategies, there's books you gotta read. This is not gambling, like this is et cetera, no? So that's when I was like, okay, let's check it out. And basically I just started like watching him play for a lot of hours. Like I started getting really interested. I thought it was really fun. And little by little I started getting into it. And then I'm a little bit of a nerd, so I didn't put any money on it until I read like Super System, that little green book. I was like play money, like super like studying before I jumped in, and then eventually I did. Actually, it's a pretty funny story. Like the first time I went to a casino, I told my friend, I was like, okay, I'm gonna put money on you, like I'm gonna stake you. I didn't know what staking was back then, but you know, I was like, okay, I give you $500, let's go to Atlantic City, I drive you because I have my car. Let's go to Atlantic City. I sit next to you and I watch what you're doing. We lost it all. He was so bad. He was like, you 5 bets never, you know? And like, but I did sit behind him for 13 hours in a row. And then we drove from DC to Atlantic City and then watched for 13 hours and came back, you know, like straight up. And after that, I was in love with the game, to be honest. And that's when I started studying and everything before jumping in my first cash game.
Yeah, so it took losing $500 to really get interested in poker.
Yeah, and it wasn't even me who lost it.
Yeah, I think moving forward, it's probably a safer bet to bet on yourself than your friend. Something that interests me is the parallels between military tactics, military strategy, and poker strategy. What parallels did you see early on that resonated with you?
Well, I mean, you know, the art of war. There's actually a book. I think it's called The Art of Poker, no, or something like that. It's kind of like a parallel to the art of war. But the thing, I mean, I really like to anticipate like other people's moves. Like, and yeah, basically, I think that's probably what resonates the most with the strategy and creating, like, anticipating and also creating a strategy that it's like a well put strategy from beginning to end that you can follow through with confidence, you know. I think like the confidence level is super important in everything you do. That's what takes the emotion away from everything you do, you know. So yeah, and then like also like one thing that like I really loved about the game at the beginning was like maybe this doesn't resonate with like strategy and like military strategy, but the independence of thought, you know, like everything is on me. And like, I mean, I don't know, I was in school back then, you know, and like I really hated the fact of like having peers tell me what to do, how to think, it graded me and everything. And like poker was like, I get in my own world, I focus, I create my strategy, I follow through, and I trust in myself creating my strategy. So I guess that's what resonates the most with any kind of strategy.
Yeah, and that ability to anticipate serves you very well in the poker space, because that's really what you're doing the majority of the time, seeing the flaws in your opponent's model, their strategic model, and then taking advantage of said flaw, whatever that may be, and being flexible and open to anticipating and then kind of attacking. Also, as it relates to like military strategy and poker too, I think there's one parallel that I think about a lot, and it's how poker is like a fog of war. Like, you can prepare yourself as much as you possibly can, but you're never fully prepared for every eventuality. You still have to like think and act and react to data points that are unknown and kind of logic your way through different spots. And some people, when they sit down at poker, like, they're really good at understanding theory away from the felt. And then when they sit down, everything totally and completely falls apart. They're not able to execute like when the pressure is on and they're in it. And that's just a fascinating thing to me.
Yeah, actually, on another note with that, I think it's quite funny that at the beginning when I first started, like, because as I said, like, I was more of like a nerdy starter, you know, like I studied the strategy first, then I applied, and like, it's funny, and I don't think I'm the first one, I'm the only one. There's a lot of people that I used to listen like that would think like me. It's like, oh, we prefer to play with Rex because then we know what they're doing, you know. And it was like, yes, because you can anticipate their strategy a little better because like you know they're studying the same theme as you. But this is like before you learn to adapt, you know, like once you learn to adapt, then it's when everything becomes beautiful, because it's when like you have your basis, and as you say, like all the unknown variables that come in, like it's when you can adapt to them, like following and like detour from your original strat, you know. So yeah, I think that's quite interesting, as you said.
Yeah, there's something to be said for the nerds who study a ton of poker before they actually start playing. Like in 2004, I was that exact nerd. Like I was the person going to my job with Super System and reading it before every shift, and like, I was in Tennessee. There was not even any poker, and like showing people like that I went to elementary school with, they're like, what are you up to? What are your plans? Yada, yada, yada. And I'm like, oh, I'm learning to be a professional poker player. And like, they would laugh at me, and I would show them Super System. Like, no, I'm for real. Like, I'm actually doing this thing. And yeah, I think that like the type of people who are willing to prepare themselves as well as they possibly can, even though ultimately I don't know that preparation pays so many dividends when you actually start playing poker, just because again, it's like the fog of war where you're just totally overwhelmed by, you know, all the data points and everything like that. Even still, like the type of person that seeks that information out, that is trying to prepare themselves to gain an edge in the future, that's the type of person who, in my opinion, ultimately has a lot of success playing poker.
Yeah. I mean, I think it does help, but as I said, a little bit like in the confidence level, you know, of like being confident with yourself. I think that helps, and
mostly overconfidence. I think. Like in
my
experience,
that can happen too.
Yeah, very much overconfidence. Like, oh yeah, I've read Super System. Like, I'm a favorite. What do you mean? Which when you're 21 years old, that sort of silly overconfidence can actually take you much farther than you would think.
Yeah, for sure.
So going back, like, you know, you're in school, you're learning how to play poker, you're reading Super System, your friend loses your $500 due to, you know, your decision to try to stake them for that one night. You fall in love with poker. What's the next step? What do the next steps look like?
Well, I spend the whole summer studying it. Then I go and play my first cash game. And yeah, I mean, I was pretty needy, but I was making money, you know? So I started like building a little bit of a bankroll. And very soon after I started playing live, like within 6 months, I think, of playing live, I joined online. Actually, Greggy was in my game, Greg Emerson. And he was like, dude, online, we gotta play online. So like excited, you know. And I was like, okay, we can play online. And he was like, yeah, I just found it. Like, let's go. And I was, and like that's how like the Maryland crew kind of started, you know. And we started playing like online poker. And
how long did it take you to transition from university to just playing poker full time? And like, was it ever even a thought of doing something else?
Yeah, absolutely. No, I was like basically. Well, I took a year off from school. I stopped school. I just started like studying hardcore. I was like, let's just put this on the side for now. And then, then eventually I just decided like, okay, I had the decision before going to my master's degree, which I said in military strategy, or do this. And I'm a very like meticulous person. So like when I do something, I like to go 100%. So poker for me was very meticulous. I like meticulous. You know, like I wasn't messing around when I started. And then before going into my master's degree, I was actually like studying for the GRE, and I was like, you know what, like I'm gonna give myself a shot of 1 year, you know, and if this works, like then I continue, and if it doesn't work, I just go back to school, you know.
Did you ever have? Did you have a thought of like it not working out? Did you really think that was an option?
Not really. I mean, not really. That's what I told my parents, you know.
Yeah, but in your head, you were already.
Head, I was like,
yeah,
off to the races. Already like fucking mirage, you know. Like, no. And I was like super obsessed with it, you know. Like, there was no option for failure to me, to be honest. I mean, I lost my role, like, you know, like we all do at one point. But like good thing, like at the beginning was like small roles, you know, so it was fine. Yeah. But I was always a little bit like, of a hustler, so I knew how to like recover money fast. So yeah.
Well, you made friends with, you know, future WSOP champion Greg Merson, who's like a crusher. So I'm sure that like, you know, having these sort of contacts with other successful poker players. I mean, even when things go kind of bad, you can still have options.
In that time, not really. Because in that time, everybody was as fishy as me.
Everybody's a fish, right? Like over time.
Nobody had money in that time. Nobody. We were all like super broke. Like, I mean, we were playing with like 1 to 2K, maybe 3K bankrolls, you know? Like, for sure. We were like... Yeah, like, I mean, whoever had the ability to, like, make some money doing something else, like, was winning already, you know? So, we were I'm talking to you about very, very basic levels, you know? Like.
So what do you mean by hustling and rebuilding your bankroll? Like, what's the thing that you would do?
Like, for example, like I used to go and like promote, be a promoter for clubs, you know, like I'm a very social person. So like, it was very easy for me to say, like, I knew everyone in my school. Like I am very social. So I knew everyone on my school, and I was like, yeah, I bring you people to the party, like just give me some money, you know, and like, I would make like a couple hundred, and I was like, let's go play.
Yeah.
So
got a brand new bankroll.
Yeah, exactly. Pretty much. So yeah, it was just like we were like mini bowlers, you know.
How did your first year go? Like what was the result of this first year?
No, it was pretty good. I built a decent sized bankroll, and like, I mean, I was first on online cash games, but I don't know how it happened exactly, but at one point, like I saw the light of tournaments, you know, and that's like what gave me the push, like into like started grinding tournaments, and like that like increased my bankroll pretty fast. But to be honest, I don't remember exactly how it happened.
We never do. We never do.
Really, I don't know.
I had Phil Galfond on the show, and he talked about like one time losing 50% of his bankroll in like a 24-hour period, and then like having to move down and then take more shots. And like, he remembers the time he loses 50%, has no recollection of like when it just stuck, like when he took a shot and like things just went well.
Yeah. 100%. Yeah. I mean, I do know like when it was like my big jump, you know, my big jump in online tournaments and live tournaments, like was probably like when this was very sick because I went to building a bankroll, Then I was sick, and then like somehow I got myself in the 10K PCA main event, and it was like pretty much my first live tournament. I think I played the ladies before that. Like
Your first tournament's a 10K PCA?
Yeah, pretty much. Pretty much. I had a good month in like online, so I was like, yeah, let's go for it. Like, I was like,
so you could say
whatever.
You could say risk aversion is not a thing that you deal with.
Yeah. Yeah, at heart I am, So and funny enough, I bubbled the FT. So yeah, I bubbled the FT, and I got like my over 100K score. So after that,
these tournaments are easy. Like what?
Yeah, easy game. And then after that, then I started grinding more. Like then I also got like more, like a little bit later on. I also won like the 1K Monday Million full tilt. So I basically started like, it was a really like a good time, and then I started like.
What is the 1K monthly million? What's up top?
Monday. How much
Monday?
Was it? 250, I think.
250?
Yeah.
That's okay.
Yeah. It was a multi-entry, like one of these multi-entries, the 1K multi-entry they had every Monday.
Yeah, you have to excuse me. I have almost never played multi-table tournaments. So like the older, like I remember like the Party Poker 200K nightly tournaments, and I played some back in those days, but like I was just always way more attracted to cash games, and like would, sometimes I would degen it on like absolute and just play like the weekly 500 or 1K, but never, I was never into the full-time MTT grind.
Yeah, no, it was really funny because I was very like needy, like being a cash game player, and as soon as I made the jump from cash game to tournament, I just went like bananas. Like I was like playing out of roll, like bunch of, it was messy, but I ran good, obviously, because you have to run good at the beginning with these things, So I was lucky enough. I actually, the times are I'm so old, man. Like really the times, like the time frames are starting to get really blurry. I don't even remember when it happened, but I do know that like my first biggest jump was Bahamas for sure. And yeah.
How did it feel? And how did it feel hitting that 100K in the Bahamas?
It was insane. I was also chip leader with 2 tables left. And I was like, what the hell am I doing here? Like, I was like, I'm an online grinder. Like, why am I with chips? Like, I remember it was so messy with the chips. Like, I couldn't like count them. Like, I didn't know how much people had. Like, I was always announcing my races, and sometimes I would make like ridiculous races because like they didn't make any sense compared to my stack. Like it was so messy. Like, but I just remember I kept telling myself like, just think you're playing cash game. Just think you're in your Maryland like cash game, like, because that was like my biggest, like, I mean, my cash game in Maryland like was my biggest reference to like live poker, like before that, like from that to Bahamas, it was all online, so I was like, just remember the cash game, and I was just trying to be super calm and everything, but like, I don't know. It was like super overwhelming, like it was also really funny because I remember like, I'm the nuts, like Chris Oliver, he's such a legend. And like, he comes to me and he's like, I don't remember what he said. Chris Oliver, I'm the nuts.
I don't know. So this is another interesting tidbit about me.
He won
I don't know much about MTT tournament players, as embarrassing as that is. I have no idea who like has won the main event in the last 10 years. I have no idea.
Well, he was like super recognized online, and I knew him from online, but he didn't know me, like because I don't know, I was just like whatever, and like he just came to me and he just like pounded me, he was like, oh, you're sick or whatever, and I was like, whoa. I'm the nuts. So it was super sick, it was super sick, like to be like in that spot, like being just like an online grinder, like who didn't know anybody from the live circuit or anything. Like all the people I knew were from online, and I'm not like huge in forums and all this stuff, so like I've always been actually quite shy in that sense, like.
That's
So,
funny. Why shy in the forums but not like at school or in other social settings?
Because one-on-one I'm not shy. Like in person, I'm a very personable. Let's you say like that, like person to person chilling. But then like online and forums and like chats and all this stuff, or like just talking to the air, like social media, all this stuff. Then I'm a little bit more intimidated. So yeah, like, but I knew like the sickos, and I respected them. So like being there with them, like I remember like looking around, who's who, like what's your online name, it was
right.
But it was amazing experience. Like it was sick. It was just sick, and obviously like it was mega painful to bubble the final table. Like definitely something that's still in my heart. but yeah, but it was a crazy experience.
Yeah, and I'm sure that it helped skyrocket your poker career, and also probably helped you get like a lot of contacts too with all those crushers and develop those relationships.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, after that, it's just when my life career started, pretty much. Like, I mean, I started combining both. Like I started playing. Plus, it was before Black Friday, so it was. I think it was before. I'm so confused about
Black Friday was like 2011, so it's got to be before Black Friday, I would think.
I think it was right at the same time, no?
Same time?
Not sure. I think so, yeah. I don't know, somewhere around there.
Whatever. Yeah. Whatever.
It's on the internet. but it was crazy. It was a crazy time. And after that, I just like started grinding live and online equally. So
which one do you prefer? Which one do you have more fun doing, live or online?
Okay, back in the days, it was different. It's changed. Like back in the days, I would say it was 50-50. And it was more like I would spend like a period of like bunch of online grind, and I would be like, I'm so tired of this life, And then I would spend a bunch of live, and I was like, oh, I can't wait to play live. And also it would change when we could do it at the same time, like when we could like at the beginning, most of the time, like my first like my scoop win, I won a scoop, and I was in Monte Carlo, in the EPT Monte Carlo. So back then, it was a mix. It was whatever I was more tired of doing, I will pass to the other one. But I was doing both at the same time, so it was pretty crazy. Nowadays, I must admit that I prefer live. Because online, especially after Corona, man, I'm so sick of online right now. Because, it's like, I don't know, I guess it's, online is a more lonely thing, Like, and I don't know. Like when you're live, you're like hanging out with your friends. Like my friends are all spread around the world. So when I play live, like I see my friends, when I play online, I'm like looking out of my window and watching my birds.
Yeah. It's like one of the things that make me so sad about doing this podcast is like coming from. I spent my time playing live cash games after Black Friday for a few years, but basically making all these contacts through the podcast, meeting new people and like making new friends, and then I can't meet anybody. I can't do anything. Like I'm just in my house and haven't been able to travel to play live poker. Haven't been able to, go to Vegas and hang out with, some guests that I keep regular contact with, or my students that are scattered across the United States. Like, oh my God, I'm so ready to go on an adventure and get out of the online poker space for just a little while. Like, I'm sure that eventually, like, I'll get sick of that as well. But right now, I'm really just chomping at the bit to play some live poker.
Yeah, I think we're all like pulling our hairs out, like we really want to do it. Even though, to be fair, I'm a little intimidated about Vegas because I think it's happening 100% this year, and I'm scared.
Scared of COVID?
COVID, yeah. I'm pretty scared, especially going to America and getting sick in America, and then like having to deal with doctors in America. Like I mean.
What do you mean?
I better get a really good health insurance. No,
aren't we the best? Don't we have the best in the world? What do you mean?
Well, I don't know about that, but I know you guys have the most expensive. So
hopefully you'll be able to get a vaccine before.
Yeah, I mean, it's not looking so good, to be honest. I mean, it's going slow, and I don't know. I mean, hopefully, but if I don't get a vaccine and I have the main event opening, like, it's gonna be a tough choice, man.
Yeah,
I really want to go, but
I would say that the risk probably outweighs the reward. Personally, I guess maybe I'm getting older now. If I were like 22 or 23, I would be like, yeah, whatever. Like, I would just go. But now it's like 37. I'm like, what are the long-term side effects of COVID? Like, what if it affects me for many years? Like, that's a possibility that makes me nervous.
Yeah, no, I say this now, but to be honest, I don't think if I am not, but I don't have the vaccine, I probably don't go because it just seems really dumb.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Again, let's hope that there's a vaccine. In that case, it's just the point.
Hopefully.
The point is moot. So you said you're very meticulous when you were beginning your poker career. You're immersed in strategy and learning. And so I want to ask you that if you had a chance to sit down with a carbon copy of yourself who is just getting into poker, super excited to learn about the game, but she lives now in today's day and age, like how would you instruct her to go about learning how to play poker and develop her poker skill?
To be honest, like the first 8 years or so, I would say do the same thing. I don't regret anything.
So what was the same thing? What is the same thing? This 8-year plan?
Be a DJ, grind as much as possible, learn as much as possible, have my eyes and ears open all the time, talk about poker all day long, like watch everything poker, like everything. There is a thing, like when I started, it wasn't the time now. Like we didn't have as much information as we have now. So it's different, like everything, like I will tell you like that I would make myself or I will tell my other self back in the day, like when things change, like when information start coming out, like when PO started coming out, like when people got really.
So PO exists right now. What do you tell her? Like where would you have her start her poker career?
Okay, so study in the morning, play in the evening. Every day.
What's she gonna study?
I mean, PO, like 2-hour PO every day. Study ranges, I don't know, build strategies, stacking all the courses you can find, like study ICM, like really focus on ICM and basically really be really organized on how to split your time. Like, and of course, this is something that I didn't do and I understand why I didn't, but like, now that I know better, I will say like find your balance as well. Like you have to being obsessed is part of like a way of like becoming excellent in something. But it's also a way to end up getting sick of it or getting physically sick. So I will certainly say like take one day out of just one day. Like one day, okay? Like I know it's hard. I know it's hard to disconnect. I know it. But push that one day, like it's so tough to disconnect. Like I always try to say, okay, Friday off, Friday's off. And then I'm like, that's never off. Like I'm always like going, like doing stuff. Like even it's like, maybe I'm not being the meticulous studier or grinder, but I'm like, okay, let's watch some YouTube. Let's watch this.
It's hard. Like,
but yeah, it's important. It's super hard. Yeah.
It's hard to not do anything. And, I've said it a couple of times that the most valuable days that I spend and the most valuable parts of my day are the days that I just completely disconnect from everything. And like I write in my journal, I plan my day out, I have ideas, and like there's no pulls on my attention because I'm the type of person that like will carry their phone into the shower. Like I will just I'm like, oh, what if something happens? Like let me just like look stuff up, like just constantly, like, and I have people will tell me, why don't you have more self-control? And my answer is, I just don't. I don't.
Yeah, it's just fun. It's fun, you know. It's like when you love something, you want to do it all the time, man. Like I don't know, I love poker, and like for example, after all these years, like yeah, maybe I have less stamina to play because yeah, I'm older and like as I said, like I mean, I love playing poker, but like yeah, playing like 13-hour sessions online is not as exciting as it used to be, you know. But I still love studying poker. Like I love it. I love all the tools we have. I love all the videos. I love all the podcasts. I love all the streams. Like I just love it, you know. So yeah, like you go into the shower and you just put the podcast on, like you're like listening to more stuff, you know.
Sure.
So, but you know, there's something that really helped me with this, and this is something that I will for sure tell my old Ana. Like I didn't think about it, but now I thought about it. Meditation, 100%. I learned about meditation, I think in like 2013, 14, something like that. And this has really helped me. It really, 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 really loads. Like, yeah, so good. It's so good. I mean, you have to be consistent on it to like really see results. But I mean, I have times where like I do like 1 hour every morning, and then I have times where I'm like, I cannot sit down, and then I'm like, okay, 5 minutes, 10 minutes, like just like clock yourself 5 minutes or something like that, and that like really changes things. You know, I think it's one of the best tools you can have as a poker player. Like, well, as anything really, like meditation is amazing. So
Yeah, I think especially
like,
for folks like us that need to slow down and like just
Mhm.
slow down, chill out for just a few minutes. It's very, very important. I think other things too, like meditation is a game changer, and it's something that I've been immersed in for maybe 6 or 7 years as well. Also, like going to the gym, like lifting weights, being active, going on walks, like pushing your body. That's another thing that like I've just found so many benefits down the line of having more energy, feeling more confident, just my cognitive ability improves. Yeah, I think like that's like the low hanging fruit for me is like disconnect every day, try to take care of your body, meditate. And then also I think the final thing that, you know, this is a part of a program that I put together a while back that is defunct right now, but I call it the spiritual block. Of just doing something that like you love for the only purpose that you love it, that it makes your spirit, your awareness that's inside of you happy, right? And shockingly, that part of the equation was the thing that my students had the most trouble with, was like finding their daily spiritual block. And I'm like, it could be anything. Like you could do literally anything that just makes you happy.
I do
right?
painting.
Yeah.
I love to paint. Yeah. I'm very inconsistent with it though. It's like now that you said it, I was like, I don't have one. And then I was like, yeah, I do like painting, but it's something that like, it really never comes to my mind to do. Like I will have to push myself to do it, you know, like, so yeah, I'm actually like in this sense, like I've done one thing that I changed as a poker player, as a person, like maturing and everything. Definitely meditation, definitely nutrition. Nutrition for me, it's massive. Like it's changed also like my whole like stamina, like brain power, everything. Like also from not getting sick and stuff.
How'd you change your nutrition? Let's
I
go
turned
granular.
Paleo. How do you
What's
say
that?
in English? You don't know what paleo is?
Paleo.
Yeah, my
okay.
accent. My accent is it's like it's so tough for me to pronounce that word. Like paleo.
That's okay. I'm not going to judge you because I only speak one language not super well. So I'm no person to judge.
My accent never goes away. Like it's crazy.
Yeah, I think that's a thing. I being, you know, like we were talking about earlier, a nerd, we learn and research these things. And for some reason, like when language develops as kids, it's a very specific way. And like it will, you just never change over time.
Yeah. No, it's really tough. It's really tough to learn languages, like especially like if you don't live in the countries or stuff. It's really, really tough.
Okay.
Well, we know English, so it's fine.
Getting back to paleo. So like, what were you doing pre-paleo and then the transition and nothing?
And I was a DJ. And like, this is the thing. I was going to say meditation good, nutrition good. moving my ass, not so good. Like, I love yoga, but I'm so inconsistent with it because I'm just so used to like sitting in the computer and just boom, 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 but never moving, never leaving. You know, it's really unhealthy. It's like this is one of the things that I try to push so hard, like exercising, and my favorite part of exercising will be yoga, and still it's like. Really? But yeah, I mean, I used to eat like shit, man. Like, sorry, but I used to eat really bad, you know.
We can curse on here. It's fine.
Okay, yeah. So yeah, like I mean, always delivery. I mean, whenever I was playing live poker, it was room service restaurant, and when I was playing online, it was like delivery. You know, like I didn't know how to cook. I didn't know how to fry an egg. Like. so yeah, like really unhealthy and very processed, and I don't know, tasty but really bad, like really, really bad. Yeah, and then eventually I started getting sick, you know, like I did get sick from my unhealthy habits. So that's what pushed me into a paleo diet. And I mean, I had to do how do you say, an elimination diet for like over 6 months or something like that, because I started getting sick. So, and that's what, like, seeing the power of the elimination diet and then the power of paleo, like, it changed my life, you know, because I was like, wow, this is unbelievable. Like, really what you're eating is like changing everything, you know. It changes the energy level you have, changes your skin, like changes like how you feel, like, and you start like feeling love for what you eat, like the food you prefer, like loving your ginger shots, loving your kombucha, like, you know, like all this stuff, like it's another lifestyle, and like, I really appreciate it. Like I became a really nutrition freak at one time. So
yeah, that's great. I mean, you are what you eat, and it has
100%
dramatic impact into your energy levels and just across the board. Look, I totally get it. You feel like being a lone wolf in your poker journey has hamstrung your ability to realize your full potential. So I'm about to give you a golden opportunity to plug into a supportive tribe that will be the poker family you've always wished you had. How much money would you give for 1 hour of interactive group coaching led by myself, Coach Thomas, and occasionally past guests of the Chasing Poker Greatness podcast? For now, and this will absolutely change at some point in the near future, the price of admission to the live Poker Power Hour is 100% free. All you got to do to get your invite is head to chasingpokergreatness.com and hop on the VIP newsletter. No more excuses, no more procrastination. It's time to take action and put yourself in position to turn your poker dreams into reality. I hope to see that beautiful face of yours in just a couple of days. I have a question, and this was going back a little bit in time, but I read that your bachelor's thesis was going to be on the history of poker since the 70s. And this is something that I'm may be obsessed with. But tell me the stories. What did you learn as it relates to the history of poker?
Well, I wrote it on the, how do you say it? I don't even remember the title. Man, my memory sucks. The sociological, is that how you say it in English?
It's not a very sexy name. I'm already sociological. I think it's starting out.
Yeah, the sociological effect of the creation of tournament poker in the 70s. So yeah, so basically, like I did a whole research on how poker was played before the 70s, and then how it changed after the World Series of Poker started, and how this impacted society, and like how poker started to be seen as something, as a competitive sport rather than just like a gambler's game, you know. So, and basically I just go over like from the beginning of World Series, and I start like digging into money maker effect, and then like later on and everything. So basically the process, like the whole historical process since tournament poker began.
What's something surprising that you learned writing that paper?
I mean, it was really fun because first of all, I could tell my thesis advisor that I had to go research to Vegas and Atlantic City all the time.
That's nice.
It was amazing for like grinding. But I don't know. It was just very interesting to see like the real OGs, you know, and like how it was always the same people, how they came from the cash games into like these tournaments that were like so small, and like I don't know how like the environment, you know, how it changed a little bit from like everything being so obscure to like everything being so like competitive, you know, and yeah, how people. Well, I did learn quite a lot about like casinos and like how casinos like saw poker, like for example, like how they didn't like poker because they couldn't like get so much money from it and took a lot of space of the casino. Then I'm trying to remember because it was ages ago. And then yeah, like how people started seeing it as like, I guess professional, yeah. Like I think that's what's starting to change, you know, like the competition made it I mean, I don't like to say the word professional in those years, but like kind of. I don't know if I'm expressing myself too well with this.
More organized, more viable as a competition.
Exactly. Like more serious business, more than like just like going and like degenerating around, you know, like in underground games and stuff. Like more like it's a sport now, you know, something like that. So yeah.
What I'm angling at here most of all is to hear some stories that you uncovered from, you know, the Degen back in the day, the Johnny Moss versus the Greek horseshoe $1 million like on display. Like, were there any stories that are memorable to you that came away from that research?
I mean, I think like the most memorable was like Stu Ungar, you know, like Ungar like really surprised me, his story, you know, like how he was such a sicko. Like he was just so smart, you know, and like so good, but such a degen at the same time, you know. So sad how he ends, you know, like he ends with no money in his pocket. Like so yeah, that story, I think he's like my favorite story out of everything I saw, you know, because it's like you see like how sometimes talent is not enough to succeed in life, you know, like because I don't think he was successful in life. He was a sicko and like a genius, you know, and somebody who like I admire in that sense, you know, but so sad at the same time how he ended. So yeah, I think that's and he was 100% ahead of his time, you know, like really ahead of his time. So I think he's like my favorite story. Like I have huge admiration for him, and also I feel bad because yeah, like success is not always enough, you know, or like being
talent.
Yeah, exactly. Like being a genius, like it's not enough. Like it's not enough to be successful in life. Because to be successful in life, it doesn't mean like what scores you have or how much money you make. It's like how happy you are with yourself. And like and the people around you and everything, you know.
And we could make the real argument that the way that Stu Ungar lived, it's likely that he wasn't super happy with the way that his reality was set up. Stewie was one of my heroes too, coming up. Just obviously, just the stories are legendary. Winning 3 WSOP main events, like taking a break for like over a decade, or I guess taking a break, aka probably not being well enough to compete or have the bankroll to compete at the WSOP for like a decade. But I mean, he was genius and legendary. And I did a tournament last year on Twitter, a silly Twitter tournament called the #PokerGoat. And when I was seeding the players from like across all space and time, which by the way, if you're going to endeavor to do such a project, people are going to yell at you. People are going to yell at you for the way that you rank the players. And I got a lot of flack because I ranked Stewie. He was a 3 seed in his bracket. So 16 people in his bracket, and Stewie was a 3 seed. And to be honest, Stewie was like a 10 or 11 seed in the beginning.
until I talked to Berkey, and Berkey convinced me to make him a 3 seed. But in my mind, like when I think of all-time successful poker players, Stewie doesn't crack some of the other people just because I don't think that ultimately he was an ultra successful poker player. Like, I think that if he existed in today's day and age, it would be much harder for him without having the mental game aspect of it, that so many people are so strong.
Yeah.
That's the thing that to me, like, his talent is undeniable. Maybe top 3 most talented poker players. The mental game side of it is where, like, there's a major difference between like him and somebody like Ivy.
Yeah. I mean, I see your point 100%. I see your point and I could agree with it, but like, I have such passion for people who are geniuses. Like, really, I do. Like, it's like, I think they're amazing. Like, I think their brain is amazing, you know? And like, if anything, I feel sadness, like more than like I still wouldn't take away from him like what he was, you know. His brain was insane, like insane. And like, I mean, you know what, like this conversation comes pretty often, like, and not with Stewie only, like with people from my time, you know, like there's a lot of geniuses out there that genius makes you a little crazy too, you know. And like, also, like, to do the things that they do, they have to go through crazy moments and like crazy bankroll swings and things that like somebody who is not as genius as them like wouldn't be able to like stand, you know. So sometimes actually the genius brings that part with you, like that craze with you, you know.
Yeah, it's like they say it's like a thin line between like genius and madness, right? It's like very close.
Yes.
In comparison to somebody like Stu, I think the one example that we have of somebody that was like successful back in the day transitioning to the current games is Eric Seidel, who's maybe my all-time poker hero, because like he's somebody that was successful back then and is successful today in the biggest games that are tournaments that are spread in the world. And like, that's a testament to like, just his talent level is off the charts. His ability to learn and play and understand poker is just off the charts. So I think that any of those folks that were geniuses back then, if they had the tools we have, would have been successful today. That's my opinion. If they can hold it together. I mean, if they don't just fall apart.
100%.
Isildur kind of reminds me of Stewie.
It's exactly like he's the one that comes to mind, like when I was talking about this. I mean, Seidel is a boss, and like he's another type of like player, I would say. Like, mad respect for him, you know. I think he's such a boss, you know. But it's like when I'm thinking of Stu, I can think of, I mean, Isildur is my favorite of all times. I love Isildur. Like, such a nice person too. Like, it's so amazing. But yeah, like, I mean, we all know about his crazy swings and everything, you know. And yeah, it comes with it. I mean, a lot of people like may like take away like from it. I don't. Like, when I say that less successful, I don't mean that less successful as like how great they are.
Sure, it's monetary success,
or like peace of mind.
Peace of mind
like,
too, yeah.
Happiness, like, yeah.
See,
but greatness, they're fucking great.
Oh, they're great. Yeah. There's no argument from me as to their greatness. Victor, Isildur. I've heard some painful stories about Isildur and like his inability to quit and like wanting to keep splitting his buy-ins. And like a good friend of mine battled him and said that, he thinks that he thinks that Isildur would bust his account out sometimes just so he could like go to sleep and end the session. And that to me is like sad. It's like a different level of poker. I don't even know what to call it. I don't know how to quantify it.
But maybe we don't understand it.
No, we don't.
I mean, because
we 1000%.
No, because like maybe the way that he sees. I mean, I'm talking on my ass. I don't know how his genius mind works. I really don't. Like, but maybe for him it's not as important, because maybe for him he can flip it out. Like he believes in himself so much. He understands the game in a way that he's just like whatever. Like, I just like, I'm gonna ditch him because I'm tired. I'm gonna ditch him because I feel like, because I'm tilted, because this, whatever. And like, I don't care because this is just a game, and it's just a game that I'm good at. Period. And for the other person in the other side, it's like, well, we're playing for millions. We're playing. This is my career. This is like my life, etc. And Victor is like, yeah, whatever. Like, I don't care. Like, you know. I mean, I'm not saying this is the case, but maybe, you know, like, we don't know. I just think I'm just like amazed by the way that their brain works. It's just like, I don't know, man. Like, it's scary, yeah, it's scary. But I don't know. I think that somebody who's like has that talent, like, it's so tough to like judge from my side, because it's like I'm so far from them, you know. So it's
same.
really tough.
Like it's we can't understand, and that's just the reality of it. Like, you know, Stewie was so talented, just naturally blessed with this brain that was just almost transcends humanity as it relates to playing card games, that like to even try to understand, I think we're all going to fall short. But yeah, I mean, Victor is the same way. Like, I think Victor's one of the most talented poker minds that has ever been born and has ever set foot on the earth. And it's just hard to deny that. He just is.
Yeah. And because also it's kind of curious that a lot of these great minds that like people nowadays are saying, like the people who study a lot, like say like, oh, they're not so good anymore, but maybe because they don't care to study. Like, but if they study, they will crush. Like, I mean, they already crush without studying. Like, put them to study Theo. Like, everybody like hold their horses, because we're like no chance. We have no chance, you know. So, but maybe they don't care. Like, that's the thing. Like, how can you know? Like, it's really tough. Like, I don't know. Great respect for them. Great respect, whatever. Like, I just hope, like, the only thing I hope for them is that they're happy. Like, and like, whatever makes them happy. Like, that's what matters, really. Like, seriously. Like, all these guys have already shown the world, like, the kind of bosses they are. And like, I just hope they're happy. Like, that they find that other success, you know, like,
peace.
Like, I mean, yeah, exactly. Because Victor is a good person. Like, he's so sweet, and like, really, I just hope he's in peace, whatever he's doing, whatever he has. Like, and he has nothing to demonstrate. So
that's the thing that, like, you know, going back, I mean, same for Victor and same for Stewie, right? I wish that Stewie would have had peace in his life. You know? Okay, so segueing back to the scripted questions, we took an old time back in the day detour there that I could probably talk about all day long. What would you say is the most unexpected thing that's come from your poker journey?
Like, something that happened in my poker journey?
Yeah, something you didn't expect.
Well, burnout. Yeah, I hit burnout at one point, and it was really painful. It was really, really painful. Because I love what I do, and like when I hit it, I was on peak, you know, and it caught me completely. Like, how do you say, like a deer with the headlights? Like, I didn't expect it, and it suddenly like, it just.
What happened? What year was that?
That was 2014 is when it started happening, and then like 2015 it really hit me.
Oh wow. And then how long till you recovered, and what did you do to recover?
Oh, it was tough, man. It was tough. Like, I learned so much from it, but it was a tough recovery. It took me like, well, in 2015, it's kind of like I quit it completely because I lost 100% of the motivation. Like, I couldn't sit down in a poker table. It was horrible.
Why? Is there any reason why you think it happened?
I mean, 2014 was a really tough year for me. 2013, 2014, I was in peak of my career. I was crushing everywhere, and I was doing really good. And then just a couple of personal things happened to me that I definitely didn't expect it, and made me really sad, unfortunately, you know. And then that, the personal things that happened to me that made me so sad, combined with how tired I was from like hitting the pedal for years, like the gas, or I keep making up like this. Hitting the gas for years, like it broke me. It really broke me. Like, and then I was depressed, man. I was really depressed. Like at one point, like 2015, I was like, because the 2014 was like so stressful, so sad, like that, like poker, which was my passion, my only thing. I mean, I didn't have a life behind besides poker, poker was my life. And when all these things happened, like I didn't have energy anymore to play. And when I lost my energy to play, I lost my ability to play, like I couldn't go forward. Like I would sit down and I was mad, I was angry, I was resentful, I was tired, I was sad. Like I would have days I would be playing and crying. Like it was just so tough, And then that was like that snowball, because it was like, it wasn't only like the bad things like that were going on. Like on top of that, like my passion, I couldn't develop it. So that crushed me, And then on top of all that, like since the mind really rules your body, I started getting sick. And that's why I had to turn to paleo. But yeah, in like 2000, basically like 2014 is when everything broke. 2015 is when I was like, I can't do this anymore, because I won't sit in a poker table just to dump my chips, And I was the kind of grinder. I mean, as I said, like I would grind 24/7, like live or online, I don't care. Like just put tables in my face. Like I don't have time for anything else, And I like for a while I was just doing that, like feeling like shit, So at one point I realized like, oh my God, like I'm not even playing anymore. Like I'm just sitting here just like dumping money because I cannot focus. And I'm just sitting here because I can't miss the World Series, because I can't miss the scoops, because I can't miss like a Sunday grind, like, and I was just sitting there when I was destroyed, And then 2015, I decided enough. I quit. And I mean, I quit. I didn't say I quit. I took a break, and then that break felt really liberating, because I was like, and then like I spent like 2 years. Yeah, 2 years where I was like, I was still playing, but I was playing very like not really playing. I was going to like some tournaments just for fun. Like, I mean, I was still playing, but like my level of volume, my level of focus, of grind, everything was like, it was a mess, unfortunately. I mean, thank God that I wasn't playing too much, And that also, like when I was playing, I was putting like more focus, because I was playing less. So like I actually wanted to be there. Like I was only playing to be there, But it was the volume very small and not really like studying or anything. I was just like trying to I was doing it because I still love the game, But basically I was healing. I was trying to heal most of the time. And in those 2 years, 15, 16, it was really stressful because even if I was healing, I wasn't zen, I was on my journey to recovering. I was on my journey to recovering from a burnout, from a depression, like for sure, like, and it took a while. It took a while to like gain the motivation, and then eventually 2000, like mid 2016, like my health levels were really bad. Like I developed like autoimmune problems, and like it was bad. And that's when I found paleo. This is when I found paleo, and it healed me completely. And like my change of lifestyle healed me. Like I started like 2017 was a complete journey to change my lifestyle. So it's like when meditation always was part of my routine, but like this time was like for real, like no excuses, The way I eat is like number one. This is when I started doing yoga, and yeah, everything like this changed, And then actually it was when I really 17 is when I really healed, And then I started with Elliot Rowe, like at the end of 17. So he helped me with like my mindset. And then I literally I started grinding and I started doing good. Started like doing a couple of final tables. Then I won the Bucharest High Roller for 88. And then I got the sponsor with 888 and I was recovered, and then after that, back again, so, but it was tough.
Yeah. I mean, we always underestimate how our macro life affects our ability to play poker. And I think we also underestimate how much poker takes out of us on a daily basis. Like, it requires a lot of emotional resilience and willpower to sit down at your computer and battle day in and day out. And when your life is spiraling downwards, everything falls apart. Nobody is successful when their personal life, their health falls apart at the poker table. You just can't, because you find yourself just showing up and clicking buttons. And like, for some reason, I think we trick ourselves that we're somehow so good at the game that we can just show up and be a winning player without actually performing at the levels that we're capable of. And that's just, it's such a trap for talented and successful poker players that, like, you can't just because you have the ability to play at a high level does not mean that you're going to play at a high level, especially when things are spiraling out of control.
Yeah. And back at that time, like when all this started happening to me, first of all, mindset wasn't so big in the game. Like, people weren't talking so much about mindset like now, with like Fedor putting like prime and everything. Like, it was another time. People didn't thought so much about the mental game, And also, like, when you're in this spot, like, you first of all, like, you don't really notice. You really don't notice until at what point you're like, I've always, as I said, I'm meticulous and I'm also critical with myself. So like, I did notice fast enough before like I dump everything, like I was like, wait a second. Like, I've never run like I don't believe in variance. I mean, that's a statement that people are always like, variance exists. Obviously it exists, but you know what I mean? Like, I've like always like, I know when I'm playing bad and when I'm running bad. Okay. Like, let's not fool ourselves.
Sure.
So, yeah. So I was like, no, dude, like, you're not playing good. You're for sure not playing good. Like, you're just dumping stacks. Like, you have massive stacks in EPP and then suddenly, boom, like, what's going on, So yeah. Yeah, no. I for sure noticed it.
Yeah, I mean, that's a testament to your strength as a poker player to notice it that quickly. And, this happened with one of my private coaching students just very recently, where we did a session and I'm like reviewing the video and I tell them, hey man, you're playing like shit. Like, I don't know what's happening, but you're just not playing at the level that I'm used to seeing you play at. And so his homework was to watch back his videos from a month ago and really listen to his energy levels, listen to how strong his logic was and how confident he was in making the decisions that he was making, and kind of get in touch with that earlier version of yourself and be like, look, this is different than that. And so like, you need to take a break, take some time off, because like something's changing. And so like, we need to fix this as soon as we possibly can. And it's hard to notice. I mean, look, I consider myself a very strong poker player, and I got super used against for a month and didn't figure it out. So like, I was just like, I'm running bad. I don't know why I can't beat these fish, these like 65/3s. Like, every day I would wake up, I would play for 5 or 6 hours and get my brains beat in. And after like 2 weeks, I was like, just thinking like, did I just forget how to play poker? And then 2 weeks after that, like one day I finally just said, fuck this. I don't know what's happening. Let's look at the data and see what's happening. And then I, like, within 5 or 10 minutes, it was like comically fast that I was like, oh, all these people play less than 1,000 hands. They all play 65/4 and they all win like 80 BBs per 100. And I'm like looking at the hands and it's like, oh, they're just playing perfectly. I see what's happening now. But yeah, it's easy to trick yourself and not realize like the reality of what's actually happening. And yeah, that's somewhat of an embarrassing story, but it also like, it goes hand in hand with like, I guess my confidence in my ability, but on the flip side, like how unwilling I was to like actually look into the data and not just chalk it up to run bad. But
yeah.
Hey.
Yeah, no, actually also, yeah, sorry.
No, go ahead.
Yeah. And I was going to say also another thing for me that happened is that I don't know if this has happened to other players before, but like for me as a female poker player, like, I mean, when I started playing poker, you know, like, I mean, nowadays there's a lot of female players, like where there's been more, you know, and they're more settled. But when I started, like, it was a constant struggle to like prove myself and like gain credibility amongst my peers, you know, like really, like, because yeah, like nobody, like, no, that's not true, not nobody, but like there was a lot of like negativity towards me, like, oh, she's just a girl, she doesn't know how to play, like all this stuff, they play for her, like all this stuff, you know. And I was always constantly like trying to like gain credibility. And when this happened to me, like when I had to stop because I was feeling so shitty and I couldn't like play my game and perform how I've always performed, like I saw it as a weakness. And I was so scared to show weakness to the community. Like I didn't want people to think like, oh, she gave up because she sucks, you know, or she gave up because she quit. She's weak, or she had to quit because she's not good enough. Like all this stuff, you know. And like for me, it was a very personal thing, you know. It was like I really care about like my credibility within the community. So that made it even worse, you know, because it prolonged the time that I wanted to play, and it also made it tougher to recover because I felt so bad, you know. I don't know, like just the thought of people thinking like, I mean, I know it's never good to like base your emotions on like what other people think, but like the poker community can be super amazing and super rough as well, you know. And as a female back in the days, like it wasn't easy, you know, like to have that credibility in the community, and like going from like the peak to suddenly like disappearing or falling or whatever, you know. Like I was like, man, they're really gonna think I'm just a girly and I'm weak, you know. And I never wanted to show my weakness, you know. In fact, I think it's the first time I'm talking about like me being depressed, like really, like I think it's the first time I actually say it, you know. And yeah, and I haven't even said it until like now I feel like accomplished again, because I went again, like I've had really good results in the last couple of years, like since I came back, you know. But I was like, yeah, I was scared of people like seeing like my health problems and like my like mental downswing or my mental game like falling like as weakness, you know, weakness on my own game, you know, which is ridiculous if you think cold about it, but or if I think about it now. But yeah, that was something that I don't know if other players who have gone. I mean, I know a lot of players who have gone through like similar events as me, you know. So, but I don't know if this has been a factor for them.
I'm not sure. You know, it's not a burden that I've ever had to carry, just being a male in the poker space. Yeah. And I think that like even, you know, great players, highly successful players sometimes disappear for a couple of years. They kind of catch their breath and they take time away from the game. And I don't know that I've ever really thought much about it, but I could see how, you know, you're carrying the torch of being a successful female in poker and how that could be very, very difficult for you to deal with, because, you know, your identity gets wrapped up in the game that you're playing and your level of success and who you are. And when that kind of goes away, you have to face yourself, and it can be challenging. It can be challenging. Speaking of like not wanting to show weakness, you know, I think this is a thing that resonates with me very well, because just the other day in a strategic episode of the show, I was talking with my student John about showing weakness and how like in the cash game streets, you know, when I was playing at Commerce, like Garrett would come to a table and everybody would stand up and it would be like musical chairs. And like he sat on my left almost always, because there was no chance I was going to move seats just because somebody new came into the game. Like I realized it's not a plus EV play. It's not a good thing having Garrett on your direct left, but like, I just wasn't going to do it. And I was really thinking about my reasons for doing that. And it's the same that you just said. It's not showing weakness. I don't want anybody to think that like, I'm afraid of them being on my left. Like, fuck it, sit down, let's battle. Let's see what happens. Like, it's probably not good for me, but like, I'm not willing to show that weakness. And that even goes back to sports for me. Like, I remember playing football and running a go and jumping and somebody kind of cutting my legs out from under me and like hitting the ground. And like, I remember hitting the ground and like popping up, and the person looked like a ghost.
Like nothing happened.
The person who was like guarding me, like looked at me like, are you okay? And I was like, I'm fine. Like, and then the game ends and I go home and like, I couldn't like look to my left for like 6 months. Like my range of motion was just shot. Like it was constant pain. But like in that moment, I was like, no fucking chance I'm going to let you know that I'm hurt, that I'm weak in any way. Like I'm going to pretend like it just didn't affect me or didn't bother me. And yeah, maybe it has something to do with competitors. I'm not sure exactly where that comes from, but like I'm the same way. I'm not going to show weakness, like for whatever it's worth.
Yeah. But you see, like I mean, that experience also has like led me to the person I am today, and like I've grown so much, and like I've learned so much, and I really like all the lessons I learned. They were painful, but I really love who I became because of that, you know. And one of the things that that I can take out of that experience and feeling that weakness as a female player is that now I'm also very interested in like empowering females to play, you know. And I for sure, like anytime I have the chance to like promote the female poker, or like help girls or whatever, you know, like I'm really happy to do it, because back in the days, like I never thought about this. Like it was just like me on my grind, me on my battle and everything, you know. And after going through this and like suffering the pressure of being in a male environment, which is really the first time that it popped up, you know. It never popped up before, like, because I mean it popped up in terms of like criticism, like people criticizing me, but I was still one of the guys always, you know. Like I was never identified with the girls. I was one of the guys, like. But when all this happened and I felt like that fear of being weak because of like what the guys would think, and like I started seeing myself like, man, like this is like real, there's a real issue going on here, you know. And I don't want girls to go through feeling like this. Like luckily the things are changing, but like anything that's on my power for like to help them, like no, like girls play poker just like guys, you know. So
yeah,
they shouldn't have this need. Yeah.
Things are changing, but not fast enough.
Thankfully.
Not fast enough. And I would say too, like it's just sort of the way that I think is in human nature, that like whenever you go through something that's very traumatic and very difficult, like you become kind of an expert on that thing because you are battling it, right? Like I'm an expert on sleep because I had problems sleeping and I dealt with insomnia for years, right? Like typically when something is really meaningful to somebody and they know a lot about it, like it's just because they've gone through it and they're at the other side. So I would say you've positioned yourself very, very well to helping women overcome these sort of mindset minefields that I guess come with, unfortunately, battling in a game that's comprised of mostly men.
Yeah, for sure.
So let's segue a little bit to our lightning round. That, you know, it can be as lightning as you would like. It's not not a hard and fast lightning round. If you could gift all poker players one book to read, doesn't have to necessarily be about poker, what would it be and why?
I mean, there's so many. I have like 5 popping in my head, you know.
Yeah, you can say more if you would like. That's fine.
All right, whatever. Let's just give the Art of War, because this is an all-time greatness. So, Art of War.
The Art of War. Why the Art of War?
Yeah, because it's good about to understanding strategy. So,
going to war, going to battle.
Yeah.
parallels between the military and poker.
Yeah.
This is kind of
Yeah.
a little theme. If you could wave a magic wand and change one thing about poker, what would it be?
What we just talked about, like female integration, like everybody equal, everybody respected equally, like females like 50-50.
And how would you go about doing that? Like if you just had ultimate power, what would you do?
I mean, I think the only way to do this would be that, like, I mean, it's a like $1 million question, you know, it's like really tough to do this, but like, I think just like to make females go into poker, like that's the problem. Like society doesn't like, it's not, they're not encouraging females to play poker. Like, and I don't know, it's probably because of the way girls are raised, you know, like, I mean, this is a huge debate, you know, but like, yeah, like play with the dolls, like don't take risks, like find a good husband to marry, like blue, 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 like whatever, you know, like it's cultural. I mean, it's a lot of people say that it's also like nature. I don't think so. I'm a girl and I'm a very girly girl and I freaking love poker, okay? Like, and I can compete with all of you guys and I don't give a fuck. So, no, it's not natural. It's social, it's cultural. So how to do it? With like 50% of the field being girls. How to do this? I don't know. We have to change like the culture of like what the women are taught to do or how or to behave or like what jobs to go and everything, you know?
Yeah, it's a shame that like 50% of the population, not the full 50, but the majority is like on the bench, right? Like these are people that would love playing poker and human beings. And like, why is it such a thing? I don't know, but I know that like, if you want to find the path to growing the game and getting tons more people involved, it goes through being more inclusive to females.
Yeah.
That's the only path.
Yeah. A lot of people say like I've heard this and I've heard it even from girls, you know, say like, no, it's natural, you know, because like, yeah, like only a few of us and we consider us tomboys and stuff like that. No, man, like my dad like it's very like feminist, like he was like raised by females, like he has daughters, like he's always told me to be like my best version, you know, and he's always encouraged me to do what I wanted, what made me happy, and just to be successful at it, whatever it was. Like he's supported me always, you know. So no, it's not that. It's about education. It's about education. Okay, in sports, yeah, for sure. Okay, in sports, physically we're different. That's okay. That's normal, you know. So it's normal that we cannot compete like MMA, like guys against girls, like basketball, etc. Whatever, you're sure. And poker, come on, man. Poker is all cuckoo, you know?
It's a mental game.
Yeah.
And
so it's cultural. Yeah.
Yeah, and I mean, I've said it multiple times on the show, but I'll say it again that like when I was in school, the smartest kids in class were never the little boys. Never, ever was it the little boys that excelled. It was always the little girls that were crushing the little boys. So yeah, I somehow the poker world just has to figure this problem out. Like they've got to figure it out and do a better job. What's something people would be surprised to learn that you're horrible at?
I mean, I guess computers. Like I'm horrible at computers. Like I could probably like set up the Zoom call. So I guess that. Yeah, I'm actually pretty bad at computers. Yeah, I would say computers. Math, I'm pretty bad too, but I don't think I'm like naturally bad at math. I think I'm a lazy thinker in math, you know? Like, it's like, I just see numbers and I'm like, meh. You know?
Ballpark it, right?
Yeah, exactly. But I think like, it's curious because in uni, I got my best grades in math. Yeah, but also because my English wasn't so good and I was a history major, so like math was easy. So I will get straight A's in math, but in the other ones it was more like, oh, I don't understand very well what you guys are talking about. So, but yeah, like I'm a lazy math thinker, but computers, yeah, I think computers like really drive me nuts sometimes.
Yeah, for an online poker player, computers and math is fairly surprising to the listener. I would say that like poker players in general, like you just need very rudimentary math skills, really, like understanding the pot odds model and stuff like that.
Yeah. It's surprising how many poker players are bad at math because I'm always like, I don't want to say it, and then I talk to some of my guy friends and they're like, yeah, I have no idea. I'm like, yep, I'm not the only one.
I was making like a spreadsheet the other day for one of my courses and looking at mass data, and had to hire some kid from Brazil to come up with the right mathematical formulas because I did not even know where to start. And then I had to call on one of my contacts through this show, Duncan, who's a UCLA math professor, to also double check our work just to make sure, because if it were me, the calculations would be nowhere near correct. I need help as it relates to advanced math, for sure.
Yeah, for sure. Like I've heard this many times. Like I'm not even ashamed of it because it's like, but for normal people, for non-poker players, they think like, huh? Like poker is all math, and you're like, ask around. Let's see who's so good.
There's a lot of it's more like psychological, emotional intelligence, I think, is the big driver of poker success. Like just understanding what people are thinking, like we said before, understanding the strategy they construct, the holding strategy, and then just attacking them.
Yeah. GTO, you don't need like in GTO, you don't really need like math that much. Like you need basic math, but you can understand the way the game works and the strategy without the exact math. As I said, I'm not like a complete dumbass with math. Obviously, like I always got good grades in math, But it's not like I'm like a super genius. Like, whoa, no.
Yeah, there's a difference between, it's a spectrum of like horrible at math and then super geniuses. Basically fall in the middle of somewhere.
Exactly.
If you could erect a billboard, every poker player's got to drive past on the way to the card room, what would your billboard say?
Enjoy the game, be in the present.
Yeah, that's a good one. Enjoy the game, be present. I think my favorite one was Brian Rast, who said that he would put on the billboard, your mother doesn't love you. That's the that's the other way to go about it.
What?
Yeah, he had two billboards, actually. He needed like one the billboard that's just ready to like crush everybody he plays against. That's the billboard for that. The other one was something much more pleasant, but be present, be in the present moment, enjoy the journey, enjoy your time playing poker. I think these are things that very much resonate with me. Like, if you're playing poker, enjoy the process of being there. If you're spending tons of your hours sitting at the table. What's a project you're working on that is near and dear to your heart?
Dear to my heart is poker, It's like, it's something that I keep working on every day and like I love. So dear to my heart is it's poker. I love the game. I really love. That's a tough question. Something that is like coming up now that I think is really interesting and that like taking a little bit of my attention is like the new technology of blockchain. Like I think that's super cool. I've been like reading quite a lot about it and it looks pretty interesting. So that's kind of like something that is taking a little bit away of like attention from poker. Like history is very dear to me, So like combining like all like as I said, my personal project is poker, but like combining the historical moment that we could be potentially living because of the blockchain and how like the whole like corona, the COVID like pandemic is like pushing the digital world so much, I think this is really interesting. As a historian, like I can certainly see a very big moment happening at like a big moment happening in history. So I don't know if it's a project, but it's something that is like, and if it's dear to my heart, I mean, dear to my heart is poker, like this has been my life and I love poker, but a project that I can see myself like investigating, maybe.
Yeah. Blockchain is fast. I mean, the changing of money, like monetary systems have been around forever, and taking it digital and sort of trying to disrupt the monetary system of the world. I mean, that is fascinating, no matter who you are. I mean, it should be, because like it represents a potential giant shift in world economy.
Yeah, and not only the economy, like a lot of sectors of society, and like how technology is working and everything. Like, yeah, I mean, I know, like, yeah, I just think like the technology of blockchain, like, is something really interesting. Like, let's see, it could be something huge, like historically. So,
Absolutely, we live in a crazy time. I mean, just historically speaking, like how quickly things are changing from decade to decade is just really insane. I mean, the world that exists today, like my daughters, when they get to be 10 years older, like it's going to be a different world. And that's just the nature of the beast in today's day and age.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Well, Ana, it's been great having you on the show. The time has flown by. Certainly want to have you back for round 2. And
whenever.
And to end the show, I will ask, where can the Chasing Poker Greatness audience find more about you on the World Wide Web?
I guess you can follow me on Instagram, Ana Marquez Poker, or in Twitter, Ana Marquez. I forgot. What's my Twitter? I don't know. Yeah, find me on Twitter, find me on Instagram. Around there sometimes. And you probably see me in the poker tables at some point.
At some point in the near future. Well, best of luck to you.
Yeah.
Thank you very much for your time and your energy. I'm very grateful. And we'll do a round 2 very soon.
100%. Thank you so much for having me. It's been really cool.
My pleasure.
Thank you so much for listening to this episode of Chasing Poker Greatness. If you have yet to subscribe to the show, please take a second to do so on Apple Podcasts or wherever your favorite place to listen to podcasts may be. For more content from me, Coach Brad, please visit our YouTube channel at youtube.com/enhanceyouredge, and I'll see you next time.